let's talk about these new GTA 6 leaks making the round. Because honestly, every time something leaks for this game, everyone instantly yells, fake! And honestly, I get it. There's so much nonsense out there. So many so-called insiders. It's hard to take anything seriously. But this one's got a bit of history behind it. So let me set the stage. So, GameRoll, who's been around the community forever, put out this tweet. The thing is, he was dropping details about the main characters, Jason Duval and Lucia Caminos, before any of that stuff was officially out there. Now, he's not just pulling this out of thin air. Apparently, he's got a source who knows someone at Rockstar, so we're talking like fourth-hand info here. Sketchy, sure, but that same source nailed the names, so suddenly people start listening, right? Now, does that mean every little thing this person says is gospel? Hell no, but it's just enough to make me want to dig into what they're saying. So here's the deal. Some of the stuff in this new leak actually lines up with what we've seen in the trailers and old leaks. For example, supposedly there are fully explorable malls and skyscrapers, complete with working elevators. That's not even that wild. Rockstar loves those little details. Then there's talk about over 700 shops you can enter. But come on, that's gotta be a catch-all for every bodega, vending machine, and sketchy backroom in Vice City, not 700 unique Best Buys. You know, there's even a rumor you'll be able to play as Jason, Lucia, or both at once, like some weird co-op. But honestly, that's the kind of thing I'll believe when I see it. The weapon system, more Red Dead vibes, with you carrying a couple guns and the rest in your car trunk. That one, I totally buy. They even hinted at it in the trailer. And then there's all these random, hyper-specific details, like Jason's pet iguana, which is actually in the trailer if you look close. Lucia's ankle monitor, apparently, is just a story thing. It gets ditched early, so you don't need to worry about being locked out of the map. Kinda hilarious how much people speculated about that, and then it turns out to be a throwaway detail. Special abilities are back too, apparently. Jason gets a slow-mo, dead-eye thing. Lucia gets some one-shot special move. Rockstar loves that stuff, so sure, I'll give them that one. And then we get to the stuff that honestly just sounds like standard game development, like features being cut or reworked because of delays, or chapters getting chopped up and rewritten. If you've followed Rockstar, that's just how they work. I mean, GTA 5 went through a million changes, so that tracks. There's a lot of talk about the world feeling more alive, male strippers at clubs, no returning GTA characters spotted yet. But like, who's surprised? Not me. Apparently, there's no secret map like Guarma either. And listening to music on AirPods while walking thing isn't a thing, at least for now. Maybe they add it, maybe not. And the social media feature, still bare bones apparently. Sounds like the Rockstar way. Now, the so-called naughty scenes are apparently super tame. Camera pans away. Nothing explicit. If you were hoping for GTA to outdo Cyberpunk in the nudity department, yeah, it's not happening. There are some cool details, like being able to buy beer at a shop for real and not just in a cutscene. That's the kind of thing I love, honestly. But then there's random bits like Donnie being Jason's weird friend, or some mission where the cops betray each other. Classic GTA, but nothing mind-blowing. There are some claims I just straight up don't buy. Like, there's this one about Lucia having a kid, but it not being a big deal in the story. That just feels like an old theory that's been recycled 1,000 times. And everything I've heard suggests that's not a thing. I'd be shocked if Rockstar actually went there. Other stuff like being able to greet or antagonize NPCs, bigger city layouts, removing the ability to go prone, no dual wielding, no Disney World knockoff. All that feels like typical game dev stuff. Rockstar's always changing features up until the last minute. Oh, and the map? Supposedly it's a rectangle, no panhandle, just like GTA 5. People have been crying about that online for months, but honestly, that just sounds practical. The wanted levels going back up to 6 stars, which, thank God, because 5 stars just doesn't hit the same. There's even talk about relationship bars, weight mechanics, underwater treasure hunting, more gore. If that all hands out, awesome. But I'm not betting the farm on leaks. Here's the thing though, Rockstar's so secretive. Half the time, even their own dev teams don't know what's in the final game. Sometimes they intentionally plant false info just to track leaks. So unless it's in a trailer or straight from the Rockstar newswire, take all of this with the biggest grain of salt you've got. But hey, it's always fun to speculate, right? Personally, I'll believe half this stuff when I see it. Until then, let me know what you think in the comments. What's the most believable? What's total bullshit? Drop your wildest theory. I'm all ears. So here's a fun little rumor to chew on. Red Dead Redemption 2 might finally be getting that next-gen glow-up. And get this, there's also talk of a Switch 2 port dropping sooner than you'd think. Yeah, I know. We've heard RDR2 next-gen patch rumors since like, what, 2020? But this new bit comes from Game Reactor, and honestly, it sounds a bit more legit this time around. Basically, here's the deal. Rockstar is looking at Red Dead Redemption 2 as one of its showcase ports. The source says the Switch 2 version is as real as the next-gen gen update. So, not just hot air. It might not launch day one, but if they follow the playbook from when Red Dead 1 hit Switch, we're probably looking at August or maybe even the fall for RDR2. But let's talk next gen. Fans have been begging for this forever. If you're on Xbox Series X right now, you're just playing the Xbox One X version. So yeah, it's 4K, but you're stuck at 30 FPS. PS5, even rougher, no native 4K and still locked at 30. Meanwhile, every new game out there has spoiled us with silky smooth 60 FPS. No wonder a ton of people don't even bother streaming or replaying, and I keep thinking if they just dropped a 60 FPS patch, you'd see Red Dead Online actually come back to life. I'd 100% fire up some streams, not gonna lie. But it's wild that even now, we're still waiting for Rockstar to do the obvious. Now, for the Switch 2 crowd, believe it or not, this isn't as crazy as it sounds. RDR2 runs surprisingly well on Steam Deck, which, let's be real, isn't exactly a powerhouse. So I'd expect at least some sort of performance mode, maybe 60 FPS at lower setting, or 30 FPS with the bells and whistles turned on. Wouldn't shock me if we get some graphics/performance toggle. Of course, all this is rumor, nothing locked in, no trailers, no Rockstar blog post, but with GTA 6 delayed, this is literally the perfect window for Rockstar to get these side quests out of the way. Imagine RDR2 and maybe even GTA 4's next-gen ports finally dropping this year, just in time before GTA 6 launches and eats the entire gaming world for the next decade. Because, let's be real, once GTA 6 is out, who's going to care about a GTA 4 port or a 60 FPS patch for RDR2? If Rockstar's smart, they'll squeeze these out now, give fans a reason to double dip, and keep the hype cycle going all year. But hey, what do you think? Would you actually replay Red Dead 2 if it finally got that next-gen patch? Would you pick it up for Switch 2? Or are you just holding out for GTA 6 and nothing else? Drop your take in the comments. And if you dig this kind of no BS gaming news, hit the sub and the bell, you know the drill. So, MindsEye is a complete disaster. Alright, let me just say it. I played MindsEye, and it's meh, like super mid. The cutscenes, fire. The actual gameplay, painfully average. And somehow, even with low expectations, it still managed to disappoint me. But you know what's way worse than the janky combat? The performance. I'm on PS5, day one patch, console optimized version, and this thing can't even lock 30 FPS. Frame dips, frame stutters. It's like the game's stuttering harder than a 5th grader reading out loud in class. It's so bad. It made me physically annoyed. This game needed at least 3 more months of polish, minimum. And let's not pretend we didn't see it coming. Ever since they slapped from the producer of GTA all over the trailers, people called it a GTA clone. Others were hyped just because Leslie Benzies was involved. But here's the truth. Having one Rockstar dev doesn't magically make your new game good. So I played it. I gave it a fair shot. And yeah, I'll say this. I was entertained when I ignored the bugs, frame stutters, and all the rough edges. Let's talk performance. It's rough, like motion sickness level bad. No joke. I've played some clunky games on PS5, but this is the first one that made me pause just to check if my console was melting. Unreal Engine 5 is once again out here flexing lighting tech while tripping over basic frame pacing. Other UE5 games like Expedition 33 look better, run smoother, and are on the same engine. So what's MindsEye's excuse? And the world, dead. Like really dead. No pedestrians, barely any traffic, no atmosphere. You might say, it's not a fully open world. Cool, but guess what? Mafia wasn't either, and that world felt alive. Vice City and GTA 3 from 2 decades ago had more life than this. There's just no excuse for how empty this feels. The combat? Oof, this is where things nosedive. It plays like a 360 era shooter, but somehow stiffer. Cover system, janky, aiming, floaty, enemies, dumb as bricks. Sometimes they just spawn and stand there, not even trying to flank or push. You shoot them, they shoot back, and that's it. Peak PS2 vibes. The recoil's okay, I guess. At least guns don't feel like airsoft toys. But when a pistol sounds like it was stolen from Destroy All Humans, something's off. It just doesn't feel grounded. And for a game trying to be edgy, sci-fi, that's a huge miss. And the AI, my god, these guys have the brain power of a toaster. Zero flanking, zero aggression. Just stand, shoot, die. You kill a robot, boom, auto-explode. Cars, shoot them 5 times and they burst into flames. The logic is comically dumb. Also, where's melee combat? Spoiler, there isn't any. Difficulty? Don't even get me started. I played on hard mode and still barely took damage. Like, I'm playing on controller, not even M and K, and it was laughably easy. Drones and robots just get spongier, but it's still the same brain-dead loop. A 5-year-old could beat this game on hard mode, seriously. Driving? Meh. It works, but it's boring. You hit a bump and your car flips like a Hot Wheels toy. There's a button to auto-flip it, but it's clunky. It's just plain old driving. Functional, but nothing exciting. Story? Surprisingly, honestly, not bad. You play as Jacob Diaz, basically a mashup of Link and Clay, and that one conspiracy TikToker your uncle follows. There's some brain implant stuff, some anti-government themes. It's fine. The real MVP is the mocap. Legit. The cutscenes are the most polished part of the whole experience. Mission variety, limited. You'll mostly be doing 3 things: shooting, car chases, watching cutscenes. There's a drone mission, a flying helicopter thing, and some side content with portals that feel like random prototypes. There's a map creator too, but PS5 players can't use it. So, cool. The worst part? Those car chases are straight filler. There's one that goes on for 8 minutes and ends with a scripted escape. Waste of time. Final thoughts? Look, MindsEye isn't the worst game ever, but between the bugs, the trash performance, the boring combat, and the generic design, it's not worth $60. If you're here for the story and the cutscenes, wait for a sale, a deep one. But if you were hoping for another Max Payne or GTA, you're gonna be real disappointed. Even Mafia Definitive Edition smokes this. It's a shame, because the potential was there. But as it stands, MindsEye is the definition of should've hooked longer. Let's get into the whole Battlefront 3 saga, because honestly, things just got interesting. For the first time in forever, we've got actual official proof that EA is listening. They're seeing the movement. They know we're all out here talking about Battlefront, probably way more than they ever expected. So get this. EA Play's Twitter straight up posted, Battlefront 2 is the talk of the galaxy. Join the action and see why players are rushing to the front lines. Like, for real, they actually acknowledge the insane spike in Battlefront 2 player counts. So what does this all actually mean? Are we finally getting Battlefront 3? Well, slow down. Here's the thing a lot of folks forget. EA doesn't own Battlefront. Lucasfilm does. EA's just the developer and co-publisher. So yeah, EA can talk all they want. But if Lucasfilm, and by extension, Disney, doesn't give the green light, it's not happening. They're the ones holding the keys. And Lucasfilm Games, let's be real, isn't even a studio. They're more like the gatekeepers who pick which studios get to make Star Wars games and who gets to publish them. If Battlefront 3 ever happens, and yeah, EA's still got a solid relationship with Lucasfilm. They're working on the next Jedi game with Respawn, and even some new strategy game with BitReactor. But DICE, the folks who made the last 2 Battlefronts, right now, they're basically chained to Battlefield. So unless something huge changes, don't expect DICE to drop Battlefield and jump into Battlefront 3 anytime soon. Never say never, but that's the reality. Here's the thing though, it's not just up to EA anymore. Any studio with a good relationship with Lucasfilm could, in theory, pitch for Battlefront 3. Could be Respawn, could be someone wild, like Arrowhead, the folks behind Helldivers 2. The doors open wider than most people think. But here's the honest part, and probably the bad news. If Battlefront 3 does get made, it's years away. Even if Lucasfilm came out tomorrow and said, all right, it's happening, you're still waiting several years. So for now, all these tweets and spikes in player count are just EA and Lucasfilm seeing the movement, seeing the hype, and maybe keeping that door cracked open. And I like the Steam Deck too. It was ahead of the game when it launched. But let's be real, it's starting to feel a bit outdated in 2025. And all the newer handhelds, they're pushing $700 to $800 easy. It's not pock change. Now, I've been tempted many times to get one of these. Seriously, there were days where I had the checkout page open like, okay, Ash, just click buy. But I always stop myself and go, all right, before you drop half a paycheck on this, do a test run. Use Remote Play for 2 hours, rewatch some honest reviews, and really think about how often you'll use this. And you know what? Every single time, I end up realizing I don't need a handheld. Not because they suck, they don't. But for me, the way I game, it doesn't fit my lifestyle. That said, and this is important, that's a very personal choice. If you travel a lot, if you're always on the move, on planes, trains, or just like the idea of playing games in bed, then yeah, I totally get the appeal. A handheld can be a game changer. Me, even when I fly, I'd rather catch up on reading, do some writing, or watch a show or movie I downloaded. That's just my rhythm, you know? Okay, so handheld gaming is blowing up right now. Like seriously, it's the trend. Every tech company is either making one, teasing one, or pretending they're not working on one, but totally are. You've got the Steam Deck, Asus ROG Ally, Lenovo Legion Go, and now even Microsoft is joining the party with their own Xbox handheld. Hype's real. But here's the question I keep circling back to. Are handhelds kinda holding us back? I mean, think about it. Games are supposed to be pushing boundaries, right? Unreal Engine 5, full path tracing, ray-traced global illumination, volumetric clouds, subsurface scattering. Yeah, all the fancy buzzwords we gamers pretend to fully understand. But then we look at these handhelds, and most of them are running mid-tier mobile chips, power-limited processors, and in a lot of cases, they're aiming for 720p or maybe 1080p at 30 FPS. So what happens next? Developers start optimizing for those systems. Suddenly, games are being built or scaled down to run on 15-watt chips instead of taking full advantage of what your PS5 or even even a high-end console could do. And don't get me wrong, there's beauty in optimization. But when the baseline starts catering to weaker hardware, that's when we might start seeing a ceiling on fidelity. It's already happening, low-key. You'll see a trailer for a game and think, wow, that looks PS4-ish, and then realize, oh, it's built to run on handhelds too. It's not that the game is bad, it's just that it's playing it safe to reach more platforms. But, and this is important, there's another side to this. Handhelds are giving access. They're letting people play demanding games anywhere, anytime. That's huge. And honestly, some devs are now designing their games with flexibility in mind. Scalable settings, dynamic resolutions, multiple control schemes, that's not a bad thing. It's smart design. Okay, here's my biggest issue with handhelds. Battery life. You get, what, 2 to 4 hours before you're scrambling for an outlet? That kind of defeats the whole point of gaming on the go, right? Now, I get it. A lot of folks prefer local play with no internet required, and that's fair. But let me put you on to something that actually surprised me. PS Remote Play. That thing is way better than people give it credit for. I tested it the other day on my old Galaxy A71. That phone's ancient at this point, but it's got a 6.7-inch screen. I fired up some PS5 and PS4 games and played for about 6 hours straight, and guess what? I only used around 15% battery. No overheating, no lag, nothing. Just smooth 60 FPS at 1080p, like I was watching a YouTube video. And this was on Remote Play, not even native hardware. Now yeah, I know someone's gonna say, but what about input lag? Or you can't play online with that. And sure, if you're into competitive PvP like Call of Duty or fighting games, then yeah, Remote Play's not your best bet. But let's be real, if you're seriously trying to sweat online matches, are you really pulling out a Steam Deck or a handheld for that? Probably not. Here's the kicker. I even tested Helldivers 2 on Remote Play, fully expecting it to choke, lag, stutters, all the usual issues. But nope, it ran perfectly. I was actually shocked by how smooth it felt. So yeah, stuff like that is why I've never pulled the trigger on a dedicated handheld. The only one I'm kinda tempted by is the PS Portal, mainly because the design slaps, and now more games are supported on it without needing your PS5 to be turned on. But again, that's me. I don't really game on the go. Even when I travel, I'd rather read, write, or throw on a show. If you're someone who's constantly on flights or commuting, a handheld might be exactly what you need. Just saying. Your needs might not be my needs, and that's okay.